A digital arrest that lasted around 30 hours. That's the latest from Hyderabad, and mind you, the victim is a 44-year-old techie. That's right. It's important to know. As we unfold several other such crimes, it's important to realize this is the modern digital avatar of scams where techies, doctors, all are falling victims. What happened in this case? He received a series of suspicious text messages on Friday and a call from fraudsters at 3 in the morning. They posed as FedEx agents initially and later as Mumbai cops. He was forced to stay on a WhatsApp video call, in fact, and tricked into believing that his Aadhaar card was linked to a money laundering case and was instructed to separate himself from his family as well. His call dropped at 4 in the morning an hour later, and he was able to contact the cybercrime helpline. Remember, a digital arrest that spanned for almost 30 hours. Most of the victims in these cases of digital arrest are the educated, from doctors to techies to retired defense officials and several others, blurring also the rural and urban divide. In just the 4 months of 2024, Indians lost 120.3 crore rupees in digital arrest frauds. Remember, this is just the first 4 months of 2024 and accounted for at least 46% of cyber frauds for the period equivalent to that. In fact, if we have the graphics that we can bring in the comparisons of what's been happening over the last 2022 as well as 2023, that will be great as well. But what is this digital arrest case? Victims receive a phone call, a fraud phone call, email or message. The fraudsters pose as officials from government agencies. Scammers claim victims are under investigation. Accuse a victim of involvement in illegal activities like money laundering. They threaten the victim with arrest and legal consequences, creating a sense of panic to prevent rational thinking. Victims are often coerced into transferring large sums of money. Remember what Prime Minister himself said recently, and it is important to remember this, that there is nothing called digital arrest under law. If you go by law, there's nothing called digital arrest. This is just a fraud, deceit, lie by a gang of criminals. They thrive on panic and debilitating your reasoning. So your first defense, in case you think or realize that you have fallen prey, is that you hold your ground. You're calm. So what must you do to ensure that you aren't the next victim to another digital avatar of scams and frauds, which is now being called as digital arrests? 1. Verify information. Don't share personal details on calls or video. You don't need to do this. Banks or any agency is never going to ask you that. Never give remote access to your devices, to your laptop, to your phone. Stay calm and don't panic. It's extremely important. Don't transfer money under pressure. And avoid clicking links or attachments from unknown numbers or emails for that matter. Never pay for job offers. That's also extremely important, because if you're getting a job offer, you're not going to be asked to be paid for. Report suspicious activities immediately, even if you think but aren't sure that you have been tricked or scammed. In fact, it was just few months ago in August that an assistant professor in Lucknow, Dr. Ruchika Tandon, was digitally arrested and duped of 2.1 crore rupees. She joins us right now. Dr. Ruchika Tandon, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure what you are going to be saying would mean a lot to viewers who are listening to you, because equipping oneself with knowledge is possibly the best way to go forward. Dr. Ruchika Tandon, let me also introduce my panelists at this point. I'm being joined by Pawan Duggal, as well as Pakiza. Ms. Pakiza is the ASI, the Assistant Sub-Inspector for Cybercrimes, Hyderabad City, as well as Shri Parthasarthi, Independent Director for Wiz Marhaz and Technology Expert. Thank you very much, all four of you, for joining us. Well, Dr. Ruchika Tandon, to you first. Allow me a few minutes so I can viewers can really listen to you. Dr. Ruchika Tandon, so many cases of digital arrests, but you have been a victim of this as well. Firstly, tell us, what was the experience of being under digital arrest? How long were you under digital arrest and how did it start?
Yeah, it all started with a phone call which I received, and the person posed as as they were calling from Try, and they said that my phone would be disconnected because there are complaints, around 22 complaints have been registered in Mumbai Cyber Police Station against this number, and that some people have been given, like this number has been used for sending harassing messages to people, and saying that they transferred the call to some IPS officer and from so-called Mumbai Cyber Police Station, and that person told me that apart from that there is another case registered, that the mobile number is also linked to some account in Mumbai, bank account, and that account has been used for money laundering, and the money in that account has actually been used for some illegal activities. So for that, saying that, they said you will have to download Skype and remain connected with us digitally, otherwise we will have to physically arrest you. And then over the course of next 7 or 8 days, they told me, like after so-called court proceedings, and they involved a CBI officer, and they said that you will have to verify your that the money in your account, in all your accounts, bank accounts, so that has to be transferred to some government accounts under RBI, and if they are found correct, then you will be able to, then you will be granted a bail. So you'll have to be connected. So that is how it all started actually. And it was only
Dr.
after
Ruchika, when
all
this happened
those
to you,
7
at
to
some
8
point,
days of
did you did it come as a suspicion? Did you even think that something of this might not be happening? This must be unreal. This may be a scam, or were you made to believe that it was all real? I'm trying to understand the mindset when you when you fell prey to this.
Yeah, actually, I had been getting some calls from some fake numbers, like some numbers on my different phone for around 2 months before this also, 2 or 3 months. Like since April, I had been getting those calls, and they were taking name of someone from my staff, and then asking me to talk to that person, and then somehow. They said that that person has taken a loan, and I mean there were some stories which were already there. So that made me believe that maybe what they are saying, that someone, actually they didn't say that I am directly involved in all these so-called crimes, but they said that someone is actually roping me in those, like I'm being said by some other people in those crimes, like, so that is how they just said that. But and plus they also said that it's a matter of your reputation, things will come in public, I mean they'll come in media, and then since I'm a government person, so I don't want any case. So I mean it was like it was very convincing, and actually they just gave me those, they gave me like the writ from the court with all the stamps and signatures, and they also gave me surveillance orders, like printed PDFs, and so they took made me fill a questionnaire on phone only. And their like mode was like they had a court, and then judge used to appear, and I mean the things seemed very real at that time, and I was just not aware that digital custody is nothing. Actually they made me believe that this is a new form of some kind of in way of investigation, and since our legal system has recently been updated, like changed, and everything is being digitalized, so this is another new kind of
Right.
thing which has come up. I couldn't verify it with, yeah, so
Right. So
so I
so Dr. Ruchika
just
Tandon, how long did this ordeal, from the first point of you talking to them, from them calling you, you receiving their call and starting to speak to them, to finally when you got to know that the money you were duped of around over 2.8 crore rupees, how long did this take? How many hours were involved?
Yeah, I think total like uh, around 7 or 8 days was of this digital custody, and then after 1 or 2 days, 2 days, I got the complaint registered. So around, I can say around 9 to 10 days was the
Dr.
entire
Ruchika Tandon, are you saying you
thing
were
before I
under
actually realized
digital
that it
arrest?
was a,
And by digital
yeah.
arrest means that you were not allowed to cut the call or the video for 7 to 8 days?
I was actually on Skype call continuously in day as well as night for many around 1 week. But in the meanwhile, when they used to send me to the banks and like when I had to leave my home, at that point they told me to be connected on WhatsApp and give me an update every 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes, and then sometimes like while driving I was on Skype only, and yes, while sleeping also, and if it was disconnected by any means, and sometimes the data was also data got finished, so they asked me to get it recharged, calling some of my colleagues at night itself. So that also happened like twice, 3 times actually in those days. That like data also used to finish, and so I think, I mean, if not continuously, but then definitely breaks were only like for few minutes, and then 5 minutes break was what it was like.
Wow. Dr. Ruchika, did you at any point try reaching out to your family? Was that a possibility? Could you have done that? Did they tell you not to speak to your family?
Yeah, my mother and son were with me, but for my mother, they told me, they talked to her also like a bit. He said that it's a matter of your daughter's future, and like so you have to also go to bank and just cooperate with what she is doing. And then I was told not to talk to anyone, and no one should come into my home, and because if they said that it's a matter of national secrecy, national importance, and so CBI is investigating the case. So if you leak out the secret, even if you are found not to be guilty, then also you will be sent to 3 to 5 years of prison just for leaking out this secret. And if you are found to be guilty, then of course they said that it's a matter of 20 to 30 years of prison. And somehow I didn't
Right.
know actually yeah. So I actually
Okay. Okay, ma'am,
couldn't
please stay on with us.
speak. I mean, I was not supposed to talk also.
I understand. Yeah, that's right. In fact, I'm wondering if we have Miss Pakiza with us at this point. Okay, we seem to be disconnected with Miss Pakiza, and we'll try and get her as soon as we can. But very quickly at this point, Mr. Pawan Duggal, look at the ordeal of what Dr. Ruchika Tandon has just said. It's hugely distressing. And one of the big nature of what's emerging of this digital arrest is, it's the educated, it's those who have worked for considerable years, who possibly are well aware, that seem to be the biggest victims in cases such as this. And that's important because these are people who know about scams. These are people who know about largely the digital safety parameters that need to be checked in, I understand if there may be a senior citizen, an elderly person, or maybe somebody in rural India who's not well aware of it. But largely in the urban, when you're talking about doctors, when you're talking about techies, basic digital hygiene is something they may not know the big do's and don'ts, but basic digital hygiene is something that they would know. And yet, you have them falling prey, from techies to doctors to retired defense officials.
Well, this is happening primarily because post-COVID-19, two elements have been ingrained in our minds for a lifetime. One is fear and the other one is panic. Today, all it requires is just a small trigger to put somebody in fear or panic. And this is the two elements that are continuously being weaponized by cyber criminals as they go forward in so-called perpetuating digital arrests. When I was listening to Dr. Tandon, she did mention about a couple of things which sounded very bizarre. Like they said, she will be behind bars for 20 to 30 years. Well, there's no legislation in India that actually gives you a jail time of 20 to 30 years. Also, here is a question of Dr. Tandon, who's really gone ahead and while being interacting with her mother and son, still chose not to really share her ordeal and continue with the said process. This has primarily only happened because most of the users are still not aware of this new emerging kind of cyber crimes known as AI crimes, which are being done for the purposes of defrauding others, often using artificial intelligence, but primarily relying upon the basic primordial fear of a panic that's likely to be setting in. Well, people need to understand there's nothing known as digital arrest. In her case also, she has been served with a writ petition. She's been served with judges, some orders. Well, this appears to be now the new flavor of the season because these cyber criminals are creating false police station, false courts, false writs, false orders. In one particular matter of an industrialist, they actually impersonated the current sitting Chief Justice of India so as to convince the said industrialist that he was part of a money laundering investigation. So I think the bottom line is only one thing, which is you will have to enhance the capacity building, the awareness, the knowledge of all stakeholders to these newly emerging kinds of cyber crimes, which are turning out to be far more fruitful than what these traditional cyber crimes have been.
Shri Parthasarathi, if I can get you in, Shri Parthasarathi, giving out our personal details on the phone or over the video, in some cases may not really be a choice that we can avoid. But largely, is it possible that we do not do that at all? Is there a possibility that, when it comes to banking transactions, of course, our private details, but largely our Aadhaar numbers and so on and so forth, these are public details. They are all over the place. From our phone numbers, they could be derived for anybody who wants to get those details. So how do you then create a demarcation? What kind of details can be given on calls or on video, and what cannot be given? What would you tell our viewers?
And I think I empathize with Dr. Ruchika Tandon, and I will continue what Pawan Duggal sir talked about. One of the things is, I think, before even they come into the crime scene, I think these criminals do a lot of research, and which is where I think Mr. Duggal talked about AI and analytics and all things. They have very advanced engines in this. They would map your activities, they would map your family details, map other information, map bank account, map address, map colleagues, map family members. They will have all of that particular information. And when they really come to you, they are going to come to you at the hour or at the time when you are at your weakest. And I think that is one important part. Second is coming back to your question in terms of what you should share and what you should not share. I think it is very clear today in any kind of a transaction, you do not need to share any kind of PII, which could be related to your phone number, which could relate to your bank account details, which could relate to your Aadhaar, or any of these things which personally identify you. These are things that you do not need to share. Even when you are filling a physical form, even there you don't need to fill it. So when somebody is coming in that kind of a situation, I think the biggest challenge is they are very intimidating, and they are not going to allow you to get off the phone, and they are going to bring multiple people because they have mapped out the entire scenario, and it's almost like a drama theme that is going on in the back, right? Unfortunately, in this particular case with Mr.
Right.
Mr. Tendon, it was not a drama, it was a real life thing, and where they map out everything. And when they come and they start talking to you, and they start talking that, hey, this is a parcel, or this is something that has happened, and this is what is the crime that you have, they will also post to you additional information which will only make you feel that much more insecure, because these people will have all of that kind of information, and you are expecting that kind of information only to be with
Right.
legal authorities or people with authority and who have that kind of access to information. But unfortunately today all of that information is available with cyber criminals. There is the dark web where people can go and get any information about people. There's a lot of things that have been based on data leaks, your user IDs,
Right.
passwords, a lot of other things that are already there. There are social, if people are very social, you
Hmm.
can map a lot of information about them from that aspect. So all of these, when you really look at it and think about it, is a combination of social engineering and cyber theft, which all come together in terms of trying to actually deceive the individual, intimidate them, and get them in a particular
Right.
situation where they feel that something is going terrible is going to happen to them, and will not allow them to even talk to some of their family members. Even in this particular case, the family member that they allowed them to talk to is possibly their mother or other people who possibly didn't know much information, and which is where they would not even allow you to talk to
That's
friends,
right.
colleagues, or anybody else. And that is one of the reasons they will keep you
Right.
on your phone and trying to make sure that you are not connecting or
Right.
contacting anybody else.
Okay. I'm also being joined by Miss Pakiza at this point. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think we got disconnected at this point. Miss Pakiza, I want to ask you one basic question. We had Miss Ruchika Tandon right now speak about how she was a victim, how she that she was duped of almost over 2 crore rupees for that matter. But ma'am, you have been very closely connected with several such cases. If we look at data, there's been almost a 62% rise in cases from 2022 to 2023 just in the month. In the first 4 months of 2024, already there's a huge steep. Miss Pakiza, what would you say are the common factors to all of these digital arrest cases that you have been very closely associated with?
Well, good evening, everyone. I totally empathize with Ms. Ruchika and all. The common factor is fear. What I believe is people are fear about they when they receive direct video call from the police officers, and they see behind the police station, police people are working together, and they share FIR and ED documents, RBI documents. That made people fear.
Right. If it is fear, uh, so is there a pattern to these digital arrests that, it would be, say, for a few number of hours? Because right now we heard Miss Ruchika Tandon, she said it went on for 7 to 8 days. Even when she was sleeping, she was put on Skype calls. Just about for 5 minutes or something, she was disconnected in a day. But largely, it is there. So can you explain to us how this actually operates, how this unfolds for a victim? And can't one just cut the call? Isn't that possible?
Of course, it's possible. There is no concept called digital arrest. Why they are picking video call? Why they are talking all the time? They simply cut down the call. The police in the phone will disappear. No need to continue call. You need to cut down and speak to your family members. Otherwise, they'll ask you to stay in the WhatsApp call only. They'll switch off their video call. They keep people in the video call. But you can go to the nearest people. Otherwise, talk to your family members. There is no such kind of digital arrest. What happened in Hyderabad? I got a call from one lady from Vijayawada. She told me her brother is locked inside nearly 3 hours. He's in questioning Mumbai cybercrime people. So I told her, "What do you want me to do?" She said, "No, my brother is inside the room. His wife is calling him, but no response." I simply told her to, "Can you connect your sister-in-law?" So through conference call, I talked to the person's wife. "Madam, you go to the switch off the electricity and internet so that that your husband will come out from the digital arrest." So the moment she went switch off the main electricity connection and net connection, the arrest is over. The gentleman come out from the room. People can cut down the phones. No need to be talk to them.
Right.
No need to be fear.
So here's my question, Ms. Pakiza. Possibly for the initial few minutes, you have spoken to them, or initial few hours, you have spoken to them. Some part of your information is already with them. And then you have this doubt that, listen, this is a fraud. There's something not right about this. Is it too late to cut the call? Is the damage already done? What should one think at that time?
Nothing. You can cut down any time. They'll share your other Aadhaar number, their family details, your mobile number details, and they'll share the ED documents along with your name and your husband or wife. Any time you can cut down the phone. There is no damage at all. These are all the frauds only. No need to fear. Any time you can cut down the phone. Switch off the phone and walk away. Otherwise, go to the nearest police station. Call 1930.
Right. Dr. Ruchika Tandon, if I can get you in here, and I must really appreciate you, Dr. Ruchika Tandon. You're taking your time out, you're coming and sharing this with your viewers. It must be a hugely distressing situation for you to have gone through, not only for you, for your family as well, but you're taking the time out to come and share your experience, because this is going to be something that's going to benefit a lot of people across the country. Dr. Ruchika Tandon, while we've had experts on the panel come here and say, cut the call, don't engage, move on. Can you just help us to understand why is it so difficult to do that?
Actually, in my case, it was difficult because I didn't understand that it is a fraud call. Once a person knows that someone is actually, that it's a fake call, and if a person knows that someone is just harassing, and then it is possible to go to police or, act. And
right.
if a person, in that case, it is true that a person will still be in fear. But if the situation is like, if we are not aware that it could be wrong, like if we are not doubting only that this could be something which is not the actual police, and if it is not the actual ED and whatever, so then how will a person, then we'll think that it is good for us, and it is like being a responsible person and
right.
like honest person, we'll just try to cooperate with the police and whatever authorities. So it was, for me, it was like that. So I was myself, like, if even if the phone was disconnected,
thank you so much
and
for
then
sharing that, Pawan Duggal.
calling me,
That's
so
important.
I was picking up.
It's so important, Pawan Duggal, for what Dr. Tandon is saying at this point, because for her it was being a socially aware, socially responsible citizen. It was made to turn around and put the onus on her to do her part for something that they called an issue of national importance. And that's also been a very common link to several of these digital arrests that have happened.
Clearly, people need to understand that agencies are not going to give them advance notice, call them electronically at the comfort of their home or drawing room, via a phone or a Skype call. These are things which are alien to the entire jurisprudence of detection, investigation and prosecution of cybercrime. Having said that, I think people need to understand that they have their full responsibility towards the state and the nation. But in the context of the digital platform, their primary responsibility is towards their own selves. Why? Because if they are going to make themselves secure, they will help the society and the nation make the digital ecosystem far more secure. And that's the reason why dissemination of information, that there's nothing known as digital arrest in the legal jurisprudence or the legal frameworks in India, it becomes of so very much importance. And at the end of the day, people need to understand that we are in a situation, an age of deception and the new cyber world order. And if there are two things that you have to learn from cyber criminals, it is that you must inculcate distrust and mistrust in your minds vis-a-vis every information that you see, read or hear. You should not believe any information that you see, read or hear till such time you have not independently authenticated the veracity or correctness of such content. This is so because there's so much of fake information, fake records. Today, electronic forgery is happening on the drop of a hat. We have fake, deep fake tools which allow you to prepare these fake kind of videos. So I think, again, adopting a culture of cyber hygiene and cyber due diligence has to be your guiding mantras. It's better to be safe than sorry. Let's not be adventuristic, but let's try to save ourselves and our digital presence, our digital future, digital data, and our digital identities.
Right. Ms. Pakiza, if I can come to you. Ms. Pakiza, so if you have become a victim of, say, digital arrest or any digital avatar of these scams, you reach out to the police and then do what? What kind of steps must one do if one really thinks that one has fallen prey?
The number one is, first of all, everybody, people need to understand there is no enforcement officer or police come online, make a video call, send a document. Real police never ask for money, pay online. Just need to common sense. No police people, any enforcement officer, any government agency, matter of fact, never give you bank numbers and bank names, transfer money. Please, here is the trick. No government, nobody will. They will caught immediately if they ask money to transfer you bank numbers. So don't believe such kind of things. First of all enforcement agencies will physically come and talk to you if you have involved any cases. If you come across this kind of case, please call 1930. Otherwise, go to the local police station. So they will take care of you. But don't fear, don't pay money.
Right, right. Shri Parthasarathi, my last question to you, Shri Parthasarathi. So you've been compromised. You realize possibly you have been compromised. You have reached out to the police. You've done that bit. Then what? What needs to be changed?
Before that, Sneha, I'd like to add something to what Mr. Duggal said. I think it goes back to the old adage which your mother has told you, don't talk to a stranger or don't take anything from a stranger. I think same thing applies in the digital world. But unfortunately, what really happens in the digital world, and I think we saw during the recent national elections too, one of our top ministers, there was a fake video, and it public was made to believe almost that that was exactly what he had said, right? So similarly, if I were to elevate this particular game or elevate this particular scenario to a different level of what happened to Miss Tendon, on one side, it was just some of those particular people who were coming on a video call. On the other side, if they had also played a fake video of somebody who was very close to her and who was actually being shown as being a victim and who was actually talking, and they modified voice, they modified the person, everything, and they were showing that particular video. In that particular kind of a scenario, a person essentially will be intimidated and will actually want to give out a lot of information because they are thinking that somebody very close to them is actually having a challenge. Now, essentially, the third challenge that I feel is in India, there is a big stigma in terms of going to the police. How many of us are ready to go to a police station? Because essentially, when we really look at it, we do not look at police officers who are going to come and help you. You are looking at them actually coming and harassing you or those kind of things. So people have a stigma of even going into a police station, right? So now what can a victim do in that particular situation after a particular scenario when something like this happens? He takes his information, goes to the police station. Most of the police stations today are not equipped with the right amount of talent to basically do this. Then he has to only go to a cyber crime cell. They will ask him to file an FIR. They will ask him to do so many different things. And in that particular situation, rather than empathizing with that particular victim, they are harassed even further. So what can they do in terms of information? I think all the information that is there in the public domain, there are particular services which are available which will help them basically cleanse a lot of these particular things. I'm not saying that the police will not do their work. They will do their job. They will do what they need to do. But I think the challenge there is I think our police force also needs to be elevated in terms of education, empathy, and supporting people as they go through this. Second is banking institutions need to go through on a significant training and awareness in terms of what they need to do. They're already doing quite a bit, and I think we should also have a national campaign to tell people that if this something like this happens, first and foremost, what is the immediate hotline number? Because everybody knows that dial 100, but essentially is for cybercrime, is there a number that everybody knows? I don't think everybody knows that particular number. We need to educate people that this is what you need to do.
Right.
This is the simple process and this simple activity. And there should be an easy process of filing an FIR and resolving some of these particular issues for the victim, in which particular case the victim will be happy to go to a police station.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Dr. Ruchika Tandon, deeply appreciate your time, deeply appreciate your insights. I just hope you are so much more better and you've been able to recoup from this huge, emotional, mental harassment, if I can say, that you've gone through apart from the financial loss as well. Dr. Ruchika Tandon, thank you very much for joining us. Pawan Duggal, Ms. Pakiza, as well as Shri Parthasarthi, thank you very much for joining us.